President-elect Trump meeting with Republican senators today in D.C. to discuss the reconciliation strategy. Trump still keeps his options open on the best way to implement his agenda. Watch this.
Well, I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always have, I always will. But if two is more certain, it does go a little bit quicker because you can do the immigration stuff early. I'm okay with spending cuts. I just don't want to see a default. That's all I want. I never talked about spending more money necessarily than all I want to see is no default. But debt ceiling is not about raising a lot of money. It's really just about extending it. I just want to see an extension.
Politico is reporting that incoming Trump administration officials are planning to offer expanded state and local tax deductions at Mar-a-Lago meetings this weekend in exchange for those SALT Republicans to fall in line with Trump's policy agenda, including a sweeping tax bill likely coming later this year and raising the debt ceiling, as well as raising $100 billion for border security, is what I have been reporting. Joining me now is Florida Congresswoman Maria Salazar, member of the House Foreign Affairs and Small Business Committees. Congresswoman, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Do you have a preference on how to execute President Trump's agenda?
Well, I have no preference. I just know, and we, the GOP conference, knows that we have to deliver to the American people, and that's what we have been doing. I assure you, during the weekend and the whole this 2 days or these 3 days of this week, I assure you that Mike Johnson is concentrating on making sure that everyone is taken care of, meaning every member says what their preferences are. So when we put that package together, whether it's one or two, it goes through the House immediately and it gets to the Senate.
Are you prepared to support raising the debt ceiling?
Well, yeah, because we got to pay our debts, like the president said. I'm not ready to spend more. Those are two different things. We got to pay our debts, but at the same time, we need to have a process to reduce spending, which is at the end what's going to make sure that we don't increase the $33 trillion that we owe right now.
Yeah, great point.
So we know very well but we got to pay our debts.
Yeah. Well, look, let me get your take on the business yesterday. The House passed the Laken Riley Act. 159 Democrats voted against the bill. This bill requires federal immigration authorities to detain illegal immigrants who are arrested for theft, and it allows states to sue the Department of Homeland Security for crimes committed by illegal migrants. The bill named after Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. She was murdered by an illegal while jogging on the University of Georgia's campus, as you know. Pennsylvania Democrat Senator John Fetterman co-sponsored the Senate version of this bill, and even he called out his fellow Democrats for not backing it. Watch this.
Though it shouldn't be controversial to have a secure border, and the numbers are out of control, and you can be pro-immigration, but we need a secure border, and here we are now. When you have hundreds of thousands of people in our nation here illegally with criminal records, and some actively engaging in crime, well, then they all have to go, and I'm not sure why that would be controversial to anybody.
Congressman, what's your reaction to 159 Democrat colleagues of yours voting against the Laken Riley bill?
Well, because they are just not living in reality. And I never thought that I was going to agree with Senator Fetterman. Of course, if you're an illegal and you're a criminal, you have to go. It's starting with the Tren de Aragua. And I agree that it should have never occurred that this nurse, she should have never died. And why? Because we have to understand that right now 8 million people came in because of the Biden policies of opening up that border. 2 million gotaways. Probably this guy, the one who killed Laken, is one of them. No, I'm sorry. He was paid his humanitarian flight to Atlanta by taxpayers' money. This has to end. I'm one of the representatives of the Hispanics. We do not want illegals that commit crimes. Yeah. We want illegals to help with the economy. And that's another topic. But right now, this is a fantastic law that needs to be put in the books and implemented.
Yeah, it's amazing that you had so much pushback on it. Look, I understand you met with Venezuela's opposition leader this week, Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, in Washington earlier in the week. Many world leaders believe he actually won the election in Venezuela. However, of course, as you know, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is planning to be sworn in this week. What did you discuss, and what do you think happened?
Okay, look, this is what you're reporting right now is a national security issue for this country. Venezuela was our ally for decades. They They owned the largest reserves of oil in the world. They are exporting the Tren de Aragua. This is a national security issue that Maduro has to go. There has to be a regime change. And Maduro knows it, because there's a new sheriff in town that is going to be taking power a few days from now. And Trump will deal with Maduro, because the Maduro regime signed a document called the Barbados Agreement that said that if he lost the elections, and he lost the elections in favor of that guy that you just saw on television, which is the president-elect. So Maduro has to go, the Tren de Aragua has to be kicked back, and they need to take those prisoners. And on top of that, if we don't do this, what I'm telling you, Maria, 2 million Venezuelans are going to be knocking on our door, because they have said it, that if Maduro stays, they're coming to the United States. Well, it's a national security issue.
So what did the opposition leader say to you yesterday? I mean, Maduro's about to be sworn in.
Well, Maria, the United States needs to speak up. And that is why we're counting on President Trump. Trump was the first person 4 years ago who declared Guaido, the other president-elect, to be the legitimate president of Venezuela. He was the one who imposed the harshest sanctions on Venezuelan oil. Right now, Venezuela is gaining, or it's earning $500 million a month from Chevron. I understand that we need to take care of our companies, but national security comes first.
Yeah.
We cannot give oxygen to anyone who is sending Tren de Aragua to the country, and is creating the havoc that we have at the southern border.
Well, I like the focus on from President Trump on national security. You know, this should have been a priority for the last 4 years. Congresswoman, it's good to see you.